trainer, and I said, look, I'm giving a presentation to the artificial intelligence and law. And he said, well, it's not a big issue. I mean, why are you making a big issue? I said, you know, the way we look at it, it's really it is the big brother. And artificial intelligence in a couple of years is going to be in a position to decide whether or not, through tools of artificial intelligence, and that may be a doomsday scenario, but whether or not you qualify to be accepted to a job, or to get a driver's license, or whatever, it's all going to be decided based on, not because you make an application, because all the information...
Who's going to driver's license?
Yeah, that's no, for those rare occasions when you need a car.
No one will have.
Suddenly you need a license to be parent, maybe it's long overdue. You know, we have the growth of data. We know now that the numbers they throw around is that each year more data is produced than what has been produced in all history till now. We have the Internet of Things. We have countless devices connected, information is collected, it's available, it's just a matter of how you tune it and how the tools you provide. I said, you know, I can, and I painted the dark picture. I said, you know something, it sounds like you have something to talk about. So we have something to talk about today. I put some slides together. Artificial intelligence is generally perceived as something, you know, of high-level world, not something for us simple people to understand. We have all these terms, machine learning, and there's deep and supervised and reinforcement, machine perception, computer vision, speech recognition, which we know, natural language processing, Internet of Things, machine control, autonomous vehicles and robotics. These are all terms that sounds like they're coined to keep us laymen, including the legal laymen, away. But as I said, with the introduction of new artificial intelligence operated systems into the mainstream, and the conservative legal work which I happen to represent today must deal with the challenges of AI. And recent example, we have here in the newspapers, an Uber driverless car involved in an accident, and immediately all us lawyers think, well, you know, that's an interesting legal case for law school. And it's definitely here. And you know, everybody says that AI is the fourth industrial revolution. It's coming after steam, electricity, computing, and artificial intelligence. And everybody's talking about the big changes. And here I just brought a quote from Klaus Schwab, who said, you know, expecting a dip shift by 2025. That's 8 years' time from now. And as we know, artificial intelligence is all around us. With cloud computing, growth of data generation, and countless connected Internet of Things devices, AI is taking the front seat, and just I threw a couple of applications, you know, Siri, Waze, Mobileye, Google Translate, Roomba vacuum cleaners, but also with lots of passive systems which do deal with data which are all around us. So what is artificial intelligence? And we are legal people tend to be people of words. We like words and we like definitions. So how is artificial intelligence defined? Artificial intelligence is that activity devoted to making machines intelligent. And intelligence is that quality that enables an entity to function appropriately and with foresight in its environment. So we are talking about two things, and it's making machines intelligent and what is intelligent. And an earlier definition was very interesting, was that artificial intelligence makes machines such that it won't be discerned as a machine by an individual, that it would look like a person, it will simulate what a person does. That's an earlier definition, and we'll get to what really is the main challenge that emanates for all of this for our world. The other thing is that that's perhaps a partial explanation why we haven't noticed AI in our world so far, because it's another observation which when artificial intelligence is no longer at the frontier, it's no longer artificial intelligence. It's only artificial intelligence until you know what it does. Then it's just software. So we have a lot of things that we characterize as software these days, but they are, in fact, fulfill and they are AI systems. What is happening is that there is a growing awareness, and the rate that it's happening is quite amazing within the world of regulators and policymakers to see how we deal with this issue of artificial intelligence. And that's collected in 6 months from April 2016 to October 2016, governmental agencies doing things related. So in April 2016 in Japan, the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, they issued a report, New Industrial Structure Vision as a forecasting compass in the public and private sectors to properly address the fourth industrial revolution. Specifically looking at structure vision, but making it as part of the tools to talk about public and private addressing artificial intelligence. Then in May 2016, the European Parliament draft report on robotics, suggesting to set up an EU agency for robotics and artificial intelligence. September 2016, there's the report called Artificial Intelligence and Life in 2030, which is hosted by the Stanford University. The House of Commons in England reported robotics and artificial intelligence in October 2016, just before Trump takes over. US administration report on the future of artificial intelligence. All of these, we see a trend of regulators not just dealing with immediate questions, but these are questions of policy. We're still at the phase where the legal world is still talking about what are the main policy, what are the main considerations we want to put into place, and then we'll have to deal with more specific questions. The main challenge here is does artificial intelligence create a separate entity? When we talk about, it's easy, very easy for us, because as humans we see the human as the center of our universe, ourselves as the center, and also the legal system looks at the individual as being at the center. The legal system looks at the individual. We're talking about human rights. We're talking about going to jail. These are things that are habeas corpus. These are all things that start, the whole concept of law starts with the protection of the individual and the creation of society. It is about people. Now the question that we're dealing with is the robot a separate legal entity? Bill Gates recently suggested to place a tax on robots. Now, he says that that was more of a business idea with the thinking that robots are actually making people redundant, and as a result you create more corporate profit. We should be able to create a source of revenue for society to compensate for the loss of jobs. The suggestion was to tax robots, but we understand that this is still, we're not there yet. There are what are called the three fallacies. One of them is humanizing. We tend to think about a robot. Oh, it's very easy for us to imagine a robot as a singular machine. Siri is a name. So we tend to think about artificial intelligence as heading, at least in the direction of being a separate legal entity. So we'll be Miki, and there will be Miki next to it, and it will be a separate legal entity. Well, it doesn't work that way, and there are a number of issues involved. Because artificial intelligence is not about that. And it's a nice analogy, but it's not the same. The other is that it's much broader, and it's not, even if you wanted to tax a per robot tax, how do you define where's a robot? It's very easy when you talk about a car, but it's far more complicated when you talk about a production line. Is each arm, what is a robot, what is a singular unit? But from the legal perspective, this is a crucial issue, because if we talk about two autonomous vehicles having an accident on the road, or an autonomous vehicle hitting a regular driven vehicle, who is responsible? Can you imagine that if we had autonomous cars driving here on the streets in Israel, and then would be an accident, and God forbid somebody would be hurt, and I can imagine the TV show that we're going to have, questioning whoever allowed them on the road and who's responsible for it. And our Minister of Transportation, Katz, would be answering questions to this, or would be passing the responsibility. So the question is, do we still look at humans on one and the machine as part of the human? Or at one point in time, will we have a separate legal entity and we'll have to have a legal world that's able to put liability and give rights? Maybe robots should have rights as well. That will be separate from those of individuals. So for us, in the legal world, this is a huge question. Until then, we will continue and deal with the issues of artificial intelligence, the same tools we deal with other machines. And that's why it's not an issue by itself, but we're heading there very, very quickly, and the rate things are going are very fast. I just want to open parentheses. Again, for the legal professionals, we have one type of artificial entity. A company is an artificial legal entity. It is not a human, but it's a separate entity. However, if you think about this, it is still very, very much connected to humans and to individuals. It has human shareholders. You must have an ultimate shareholder who's a human, and it must be represented by humans. You need to have directors who carry liability, employees. A company is always represented by people. So though in all the history, since the middle of the 19th century, we have companies to allow for, and that was a crucial element in developing business, there's still no solution for something which is an artificial legal entity. And that is, at least for me, I think the most interesting and the most challenging legal question. And again, there's really no answer. I said one of the fallacies is the fact that we tend to address it as in a singular person, as something equivalent to a human. Another one is there's a tendency to consider the machine as an agent of an individual, shaliach, acting on its behalf. It doesn't solve the issue. It's not a suitable framework. So for the time being, it is in some respects, at least in the law of torts, the zikim, when you talk about an artificial machine causing damage, the law treats it the same as it would treat if you had a horse and the horse ran away and hit somebody, or you were cooking in your kitchen and the fire was lost control and